Altcoins are alternatives to Bitcoin. They're cryptocurrencies that use a technology called blockchain that allows secure peer-to-peer transaction. Altcoins only simply change the rules of Bitcoin to appeal to customers in different ways. In this manner, the developers of any altcoins try to get consumers to buy their Bitcoin copies to make money by giving these currencies value. Altcoins will explode in the coming months, and here's why. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post. What are altcoins? Basically, altcoins are any cryptocurrency that is not Bitcoin. As of March 2021, there are almost 9,000 cryptocurrencies. According to CoinMarketCap, altcoins accounted for over 40% of the total cryptocurrency market in March 2021. Are altcoins better or worse than Bitcoin? With over 9,000 cryptocurrencies out there, it depends on which one you're talking about. The basic framework for Bitcoin and altcoins is similar. They share code and function as peer-to-peer systems or as a giant computer capable of processing large amounts of data and transactions at the same time. In some instances, altcoins also aspire to become the next Bitcoin by becoming an inexpensive method for digital transactions. But there are also several differences between the two entities. Bitcoin is among the first iterations of a cryptocurrency, and its philosophy and design set the benchmark for the development of other coins. However, its implementation has several shortcomings. For example, proof of work, POW, the consensus mechanism used to create blocks, is energy-intensive and time-consuming. Bitcoin's smart contract capabilities are also limited. Most altcoins improve upon Bitcoin's perceived limitations to establish a competitive advantage. Several altcoins use the proof-of-stake (POS) consensus method to minimize energy consumption and the time required to create blocks and validate new transactions. Another example is that of Ether, the world's second biggest cryptocurrency by market cap, which is used as gas or payment for transaction costs in smart contracts on Ethereum. Altcoins also address traditional critiques against Bitcoin. For example, stablecoins do not exhibit Bitcoin's price volatility, making them ideal vehicles for daily transactions. By distinguishing themselves from Bitcoin in this manner, altcoins have created a market for themselves. In turn, this has attracted investors who see potential in them as alternatives to Bitcoin. The investors expect to profit as altcoins garner more traction and users and increase in price. The more people want something, the more the price rises. What are the differences between proof of work and proof of stake? POW and POS are means for transactions to be verified on the blockchain. Bitcoin's solution was to use something called proof of work, aka POW, or mining or hashing. Here, participating users work to solve difficult mathematical problems and then published the solutions. It takes real-world resources like computers and electricity to find these answers. Therefore, there's no way to cheat and pretend that you represent a bigger portion of the mining power on the network than you actually do. As a result, POW algorithms can use the number and difficulty of solutions being found to measure how much of the network agrees on the current state of the blockchain. The only way to prevent the legitimate users from agreeing to the situation of the blockchain is to control enough of the total computing power so that you can pretend the group disagrees with itself. Also, even though your opinion is the real consensus and all the other users are lying about the state of the blockchain, that requirement for resources is a good thing. This is because it means that interfering with the group's consensus takes a lot of resources, aka money. Unfortunately, POW consensus algorithms as we presently know them require a constant, ongoing expenditure of resources just to work normally. The work has to happen regardless of whether someone is trying to interfere or not. Also, someone has to pay for it. Most existing POW blockchains, such as Bitcoin, pay for these costs with the pre-agreed creation of coins. Proof of stake, POS, requires users that have a high stake in the currency, i.e. hold a lot of coins. This is to determine the next block. This has a high risk of some party achieving monopoly of the currency. However, there are several methods to prevent that, for example by allocating random stakeholders to agree on a new block and others. Proof of work versus proof of stake. The main difference is that proof of work requires burning an external resource, mining hardware, while proof of stake does not. Proof of work criticizes that if price or Bitcoin rewards or fees drop, then fewer people have incentives to mine. This in turn reduces the security of the system. Proof of stake critics state that since it is free to stake and add new blocks to the blockchain, you could use it to stake several similar coins at the same time. In simpler terms, for someone to control the POW network, they would need to have 51% of the worldwide computing power. For someone to control the POS networks, they would need to own 51% of that network's value in terms of its available amount. It's easier to control 51% of the computing power than to own more than 51% of a specific altcoin. Since POW crypto such as Bitcoin uses so much computing power, it means that there's a massive amount of energy being used by GPUs around the world. That energy comes from power plants, which still includes a huge number of fossil fuel energy producing power plants. Therefore, POW systems are also bad for the environment. The quantum computing factor. As can be seen, the biggest issue POW cryptocurrencies have is that they use massive amounts of energy. Scientists are actively working on solving the problem of quantum computing, which would completely change the landscape, since quantum computing would mean a colossal increase in computing power with 20 times less energy being used. It could change the landscape and make purchases of Bitcoin soar if it were to happen, but it would be reliant on quantum computers entering the market relatively cheaply and at a fast pace. Why will altcoins explode? Firstly, let's agree that the future of currency lies in cryptocurrency. Now you have to decide which one you want to go with, Bitcoin or altcoin. When we talk about altcoin, which altcoin? Altcoins will explode in value as they each come to represent their own value in terms of why people see them as valuable or attractive. Some of these are already well known. The other reason is that even though there can be only 21 million Bitcoins ever mined, hence no inflation, Bitcoin is not the only cryptocurrency out there anymore. As mentioned earlier, the idea of POS blockchain verification is more attractive in terms of how these altcoins can be mined, and in an age where more people are worried about the environment, the computing power of POW verification is a big drawback. Which altcoins use POS and are good investments at the moment? As we mentioned the best altcoins out there, remember that there are many factors which could change the landscape. We already talked about the computing power needed and how quantum computing could change that. Another could be where a major retailer like Amazon accepts Bitcoin or another altcoin as payment for their products, or even if a major country would change their currency to crypto, but that seems unlikely at the moment. The fact is that at the rate the technology is progressing, it could have massive impacts on whichever altcoin you invest in. The best guarantee is not to have all your eggs in one basket. Invest in many different altcoins. We'll now discuss two of the top POS altcoins. Dash. Dash is the most well-known name on the list of private POS crypto. In fact, Dash is not truly POS crypto. It still uses POW as a consensus mechanism to mine new coins, but also integrates the masternode network of POS. Therefore, it's considered a hybrid of POS and POW. The use of masternode brings to Dash the most crucial feature, which is private send. Basically, this is a coin mixing process in which at least 3 people are required to join. The request for private transactions will be sent to the masternode, which is known as a computer wallet that maintains and provides specific services in the blockchain. Your request is matched with other transactions happening at the same time, and the coins will be mixed up inside the network. The process contains several rounds that are independent of each other to help improve the level of anonymity of traders. Ultimately, crypto will come safely to receivers, and all the details of involved parties and transactions will be completely hidden in the blockchain. Another feature of this crypto is instant send. As the name suggests, this feature allows Dash transactions to be verified in just a few seconds, almost instantly after users start a payment. This brings a big advantage for Dash when competing with other cryptocurrencies. Next up, PIVX. PIVX stands for Private Instant Verified Transaction and is designed to be a new generation of private POS crypto segment. PIVX is an upgrade aggregate of Dash and Zcoin but eliminates the weaknesses of both predecessors. Privacy is the most important feature that users are looking for in PIVX. This coin is completely anonymous and obscures all of the user's information. This feature is achieved thanks to the use of Zerocoin protocol. With the help of a separate private coin called ZPIV, with PIV denoted for PIVX, Z is for Zerocoin, this protocol allows all the transactions to be made without linking them to the original coin's history. ZPIV is created as a return for burning PIV in the network, and then used for the transactions. The conversion rate between PIV and ZPIV is 1:1, which means their values are the same and can be swapped to each other with a very small fee of 0.01 PIV. Besides that, PIVX also released ZPOS, Zero Coin Proof of Stake, to offer users the very first private staking system in the crypto world. Apart from privacy, PIVX is also integrated with SwiftTX. This feature enables near-instant transactions similar to Dash, which allows PIVX users to complete transactions within a second with a nominal cost. One more unique point of PIVX is that unlike the other cryptocurrencies, PIVX has unlimited supply and can be continuously generated. That's the end of the video. We hope you found the video entertaining and that you learned something. Please leave some comments so that we can learn from each other. And that's all for today. Be sure to check back for more entertainment and to learn something else new. And until next time, take care.